اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب زدني علما وارزقني فهما. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا. So we started covering the rules of Noon Sakina and Tanween in the last two lessons, and we have covered Iqlab and Idghar. Today we are going to cover the rule of Ikhfa. It's rule number 3, and inshallah we have one more rule left tomorrow to do, and that is Idgham. Ikhfa means to hide or nasalize, to hide and conceal the. When the Noon Sakina or a letter with Tanween, with a double vowel, is followed by one of the 15 letters of Ikhfa, and we have explained in lesson number 1 that each and every single letter in the Arabic alphabet will fall into one category. So it will either belong to Idgham letters, or it will Iqlab, or it will belong to Idghar. And if not in one of those categories, then the remaining letters fall in the category of Ikhfa. So Ikhfa happens when the Noon Sakina or Tanween are followed by one of these 15 letters that are below in the grid. That's the letter Ta and Tha. If you notice, they are pairs mostly, except for the Jim and the Za. Dal and Dal, Sin and Sheen, Sad and Dad, Ta and Da. And then we have the 3 letters that are next to each other in the Arabic alphabet, Tha, Qaf, and Kaf. If by one of these 15 letters, then that Noon Sakina, or the Noon that's hiding inside the Tanween, will be pronounced with a light nasal sound. And a light nasal sound means Ghunna in. And this Ghunna is held for 2 counts. The Noon Sakina will not be fully pronounced. It will be there, hiding in your mouth. That's if you want to understand it that way. So let's go on to the next slide and let's see how we can apply the rule. So if you notice, the Noon Sakina in the first word is followed by the letter Ta, and the letter Ta is one of the Ikhfa letters. In that case, I'm going to hide the Noon from my mouth, and I'm going to lightly nasalize it. Your tongue has to be in a still position. Don't move your tongue. And pull the Noon in your nose instead. It will hide. So instead of saying antum, which is a clear Noon in my mouth, I'm going to keep my tongue still, and I will hide the Noon from my mouth, lightly put it in my nose. Antum. The one under it, the Noon Sakina, is followed by the letter Dal, which is one of Huruf al-Ikhfa. So I'm going to keep my tongue still in my. I'm going to hide the Noon from my mouth and put it in my nose for 2 counts. Anzartahum. You have to be ready to say the next letter after the Noon. So my tongue is ready to say the Dal. Anzartahum. The one under it would be min thamaratin. Now, the Noon will sound, the nasalization and the Ikhfa will sound different based on which letter is following the Noon Sakina or the Tanween. If it's one of the heavy letters, then your Noon will accordingly sound a little bit heavier. Fanzur, fanzur, and I'm ready to say the Dha. Shay'in, duhu. The one under it is shay'in. I'm ready to say the Fa. Can you see my mouth? Shay'in farudduhu. But my tongue is still inside my mouth. I hope that makes sense. Let's go to application. I'd like somebody to volunteer and recite line number 1 going horizontally, please. Not vertically like I recited. So who would like to recite the first line going across?
May I have a go, please?
Right, word number 1.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Antum أنفسهم عند الله.
And you made the lams in lafz al-jalala heavy because of the fatha that's preceding. MashaAllah. At the next line. Please mute yourself, and who would like to recite the next line?
Shall I?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. أنظرتهم من الإنس وعذاب شديد.
Well done. Okay, that was good. Who would like to recite the next?
Can I try, please?
Go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Min samaratin.
Noon sakina, that's before the fatha. You have to hide it from your nose. So you said min. You need to make sure that your tongue does not reach the makhraj of the noon. So can you say min again and feel where your tongue is when you say the noon? Min. Say min. Okay. Don't let your tongue reach there. Keep your tongue away from the makhraj of the noon and keep it still inside your mouth. Your tongue should be ready to say the tha. So after you said the meme, your tongue needs to take the position of saying the tha and nasalize your noon at that time. Min thamaratin. So pull the noon in your nose and keep your tongue ready to say the letter tha, which is an interdental letter. So your tongue has to be near your teeth. Min thamaratin.
Min samaratin.
That's better. Next one.
Anjiba.
So you said the noon again. You said make sure that your tongue does not reach the makhraj of the noon. So for saying the noon, your tongue is touching the top palate behind your teeth. So you have to make sure your tongue is hanging in the middle of your mouth without moving, and you pulling the noon in your nose instead. Anjayna, anjayna.
Anjayna. Tanzilun.
Yes.
Tanzilun.
Ahsanti, well done for correcting yourself. So first you said the noon and then you said it again, kept your tongue away from the makhraj of the noon and kept it still and recited the noon with the nasal sound. Ahsanti. Who would like to recite the next line?
Me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Fandur
Good.
birihin tayyibatin.
So you said birihin. The ha dozir, which is the tanween, is got the letter noon in it. Birihin. So this noon is the one that we need to hide and nasalize. So we hide it from our mouth. So hiding it our mouth means that we do not let our reach the makhraj of the noon. So we can't say birihin. I have to keep my tongue away from the noon and put it in my nose while I'm ready to say the ta. So the ta is a heavy letter. So birihin tayyiba. I'm ready to say the ta while I'm pulling the noon in my nose. Birihin tayyiba. Try again.
Birihin tayyiba.
See, much better.
Anzaifa.
Keep your tongue away from
Andaifa.
So I want you just to say an. Say an.
An.
Can you feel where your tongue is touching when you say the noon? Say it again.
Andaifa.
I just need you to focus on what I'm asking you to do. So I asked you to focus where your tongue is touching when you say the noon. An, right? Your tongue has to stay away from there when you want to nasalize the noon. So it has to stay away from there and still keep your tongue away from the makhraj of your noon inside your mouth.
Andaifa.
Ahsanti, that's much better. So I hope you understand. To hide the noon in your mouth, you have to keep it away from where it touches normally to say a full noon. So in order to say a full noon, I say an, and I can feel my tongue touching my top. I need to keep it away from there. I need to keep it still in my mouth, away. عن ضيفي.
Yeah, I understand.
Say the last word once more, please.
عن ضيفة.
عن ضيفة.
عن ضيفة.
Barakallah feek. MashaAllah. Next one, please. Sister Zahida, would you like to? Sorry, who was that?
It's okay. Whoever wants to go first, and I'll go.
Yes, please. No, you go ahead. We have more examples on the next slide. Go ahead.
Miss. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Shay'in faruduhu.
Okay, so you need to make sure that the hamza do, the double kasra, hamza kasratain or hamza dozir, is hiding a noon, and it's that noon that has to be nasalized for 2 counts. Shay'in. So I'm ready to say the fa. Shay'in farudduhu, while I'm pulling the noon in my nose for 2 counts. Shay'in farudduhu.
Shay'in faruduhu min qabli.
Now you've got quite a difficult example. So the qaf comes from the back part of your mouth, the last part before your throat starts, and it's one of the 7 heavy letters. So your muscles here have to be ready to say the letter qaf while you're pulling the noon in your nose. Min has to stay away. So there's quite a few things happening. Your tongue stays away from the makhraj of the noon in your mouth. Your muscles are ready to say the letter qaf, and you're pulling the noon in your nose for 2 counts. Min qablu, min qablu.
Min qabli.
Yes, ahsanti, sorry, I made the lam into a pesh. Min qabli, and the ba also needs qalqala.
Min qabli.
Ahsanti. Next one.
Minkum.
Ahsanti, that was good. MashaAllah. Right, so we have more examples. Hasn't had a go. Would like to recite the next line, please?
So do I need to read the next line?
You can recite the next line, and then somebody else can have a go at the next one. Yes, please, go ahead.
Min dunillahi.
Ahsanti. You made the lambs in God Almighty's name light because of the kasra before them, or the zair before them.
Fariqan kadzabu.
Ahsanti, mashallah. Okay, if you can mute yourself, and somebody else would like to recite the next line.
May I go, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Jannatin tajri min qablu.
Would you like to recite the next 2 as well, because they have different letters?
Halalan tayyiban min tahtiha.
Ahsanti, mashallah. Anyone else who would like to recite?
Shall I, sister?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tanzila
Ahsanti.
Aziz.
That as the Z, Tanzila, your ikhfa was perfect.
Azizun Zuntiqamin.
Good.
Yansiluna Anfusihim.
MashaAllah. Ahsanti. Well applied. Okay. Anyone else who hasn't recited would like to recite, please? Where is Sister Shireen here today? I don't think she's recited.
Can I do that again if nobody's doing it?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Anka min qablikum.
Min qabl. So you have to be ready to say the qaf. Qaf is one of the letters, so your ikhfa here naturally will sound heavier. Min qablikum.
Min qablikum.
So your muscle at the back of your mouth has to be ready to say, your tongue at the back of your mouth ready to say the letter qaf. If you move it to position and then do your ikhfa will have a heavier quality. So your muscle has to be ready to say the qaf. Min qablikum, and then you pull the noon in your nose.
من قبلكم
Santi, next one.
أَوَمَنْ كَانَ
أَوَمَنْ كَانَ, your count has to be 2 counts.
أَوَمَنْ كَانَ من شيء
Min shay'in, so you have to be ready to say the sheen. Min shay'in.
من شيء
Santi, mashallah. I hope that explains the rule of ikhfa, and inshallah tomorrow we will do idgham, and then the day after we will do examples from the Holy Quran, and we will do which contain all of the rules. So you will have to inshallah figure out which rule you can see and apply correctly. So if there are any questions I can answer, otherwise we can end today's session. I hope it was all clear.